Starting at small forward, at 6 foot 6 inches, number 1, Justin Anderson.
On the road looking for a win against a Western Conference rival. The San Antonio Spurs are ready for this thing to get started. We've got an action-packed Saturday night of NBA action for you. Thanks for joining us. With Greg Anthony and Clark Kellogg, this is Kevin Harlan. This homestand ends here for the Mavericks as they get ready to hit the road. They can secure their spot in the postseason with the victory here.
This is an incredible atmosphere in this building, Kevin. I mean, their winning streak has continued to grow. As it has, their fans' excitement has grown right along with it.
And you know what? You can feel it in the air, guys. The home crowd energized. And I'll tell you what, right now, this is one of the toughest buildings you are going to ever compete in when you talk about trying to play on the road in the NBA.
A look at the San Antonio Spurs opening lineup. Parker and Green are the guard pairing. Kawhi Leonard is out there with LaMarcus Aldridge. And it's Duncan in at the 5. And good on the basket. Book it. And so it's San Antonio with it. They're moving on after the tough loss they took at the hands of the Nuggets.
And you don't have to go too deep into the box score to figure out why they lost that one. They just had an inability on that day to make shots.
You know, sometimes we talk about a defense getting into the heads of the opposing players, Greg, but that night they got up in their own heads, just got in their own way and couldn't get out of it. And, you know, with Tim Duncan, there are no flaws in his game. He's even become a good free throw shooter now. He's averaged 76% from the line the last 3 seasons after being in the 60s much of his career.
He hits the back iron and sinks the shot.
Could be the first of a lot of mid-range jumpers that we see from him.
Screen by Duncan. Parker drives in. Offensive rebound. And it's out of bounds to the Spurs as San Antonio retains possession. And here in the first, closing in on 2 minutes play. Here's Aldridge. And at last, they get one to fall. Going back to Duncan's improved free throw shooting, Greg, it's really changed how you play him now at the end of games. If you foul him now, it becomes one of your worst options.
And you know, that's a sign of a true warrior. You don't want to show any weaknesses in battle. So Tim went out and turned one of his biggest weaknesses into a strength.
And here is Parker following the 3 from Wesley Matthews. Parker passes to Duncan. Mavericks with the rebound. Want to keep rolling here following the win against Memphis.
And it could have been a lot closer than it was down the stretch, though. They were terrific.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job closing the door and keeping it out of reach at the end.
Okay. And the Spurs last season became the first franchise to hire a female assistant coach. A big step, not just for the Spurs, but really for all of the NBA.
The first free throw is good. Well, as Greg was just talking about, the assistant that was hired was Becky Hammon, a phenomenal player for a very long time in the WNBA. And Clark, you know, you and I were talking about this before. She was a perfect candidate to become the first full-time female assistant.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it might not seem like that big a deal to some, but this was a big-time barrier breaker that the Spurs pulled off.
That drops, and it comes off an assist from Parker. Duncan's got his second bucket of the night. Dallas has gone 1 of 2 from long range in the first quarter. And Doris Burke caught up with Coach Greg Popovich. Doris?
Coach told me that defensively, he's not even sure how you contain Dirk Nowitzki offensively. He said he really has an unstoppable shot with that turnaround. I don't know how you stop it, but we're going to try. Guys, it always helps to have those athletic, rangy defenders who can at least get a hand in his face. We'll see what matchup they go with defensively.
Thanks again, Doris. Nobody near Parker from outside off the mark. Mavericks leading by 3. Here's Barea. Soft touch off the glass.
Really aggressive play there, taking it to the rack against the big fella.
You know, Greg, aggressiveness is really the only option when you're on the wrong side of the size equation.
Parker, it's deflected, and it's out of bounds to the Spurs as San Antonio retains possession. So it's both teams making substitutions here. And here in the first quarter, with a little over 3.5 minutes played.
And Zaza Pachulia, for my money, has been one of the toughest players in the league. He's got a boxer's mentality. Even his face looks a little bit like a boxer. He doesn't have the quick twitch muscles of some guys, but his power and effort consistently stand out.
For Dallas, they've gone 5 of 6 so far from the field to start out the game. Right wing. It's blocked. And it's out of bounds to the Mavericks as Dallas retains possession. .103 left here in the first quarter. Harris outside. Here's Felton. Rebound San Antonio.
Well, I think he had all the space he needed. He just couldn't find the bottom of the net.
Martin wide open. He fires. The shot goes down. Very quick possession right there. Mavericks leading by 3. Matthews goes in, and it's blocked. Now running it up the court. Martin pushing it up. Here's Mills. And a foul called on the shot. Got him on the way up that time, so he'll shoot 2 right here.
And guys, every time we think Patty Mills is going to take the next step in his development, he takes a step back. Last season, he shot career lows from the field and behind the arc after having one of his best ever campaigns the year before. That really just makes a coach pull his hair out. Unfortunately, I don't have it. Yeah, exceptional play there to take the bump and still get it to fall.
I like to call that stick-to-itiveness, Greg. Getting everything he possibly could out of that play. Nicely done.
Good call.
They get it again. Anderson dishes to Martin. Here's Marjanovic. He's covered by Matthews. Pass to Mills. Here's Marjanovic. Martin kicks to Mills. Lets it go with a 3. The shot will not go. To the middle with 1 on the clock. No good at the rim. A good close contest so far as we finish the first quarter. Mavericks ahead, leading by 3. And back in a moment as we'll get underway with quarter number 2. Great talking about Tim Duncan and how he, Greg, continues to stay near the top of his game.
You know, Kevin, they say nobody has ever defeated Father Time. But you know what? There have been a couple bigs that you'd have to say are the exceptions. Kareem being one, and then obviously now what Tim Duncan has been able to do over the course of his career. Just unbelievable.
Assist from Kawhi.
And the second quarter getting underway. No team gaining an edge so far. And let's quickly break down the game we've seen here, guys, from the Mavericks.
I just don't know that you're going to see a better quarter defensively than what we saw in the first.
Really a big part of why they're on top here. The defense has been on point.
And a moment now to reset the lineups, courtesy of Gatorade, all fueled up for the second quarter of basketball. On the floor for Dallas, Anderson is out there with David Lee. Then there's Felton. Then there's Nowitzki. And it's Harris in at the 1 spot.
And one thing that everybody loves about Coach Pop is his frankness. You get a taste of it in interviews, but he's as honest and straightforward with you as he is with anybody else.
Here's Mills. He's averaging just around 8.5 points a game. And San Antonio calls the first timeout of the game. Well, you've got Greg Popovich, and I think he puts this at times grumpy demeanor in a more of a spotlight. He's playing along, as we all know, with the sideline reporters. He knows, Greg, you know this firsthand, when to turn it on, when to turn it off. He can be as compassionate a person, Clark, that you and I have ever been around.
Yeah, he's competitive, but he understands that we're all human, and he treats people the right way all the time.
Now here is Aldridge. A good portion of the scoring has come from him. He averages more than 18 points a game. That misses. Had a chance to tie it there.
You know what, though? Sometimes you can be too open. I think it may have surprised him, and that's why he missed.
Matthews passes to Pachulia. And the layup is good after a nice lead pass. Pachulia's got the lead up to 5 now for the Mavs. The Spurs have gone 1 of 3 to start out the second quarter. Now here's Parker, guarded closely. And the rebound goes to Nowitzki.
That is some tough defense there against one of the better finishers in our game.
And he gets it to go. And it's a 7-point Maverick lead.
8 of the last 10 points at that end of the court have been scored on very high percentage shots in the paint.
And really, there is no resistance defensively right now. It is just far too easy.
Now here's Parker. He hasn't yet put up any points in this one. Back to Leonard. All sorts of time. His shot is good, making him a perfect 2 for 2 from the floor.
I like the setup there. Ginobili with the pick.
And, of course, Tony Parker, so big for San Antonio in those championship runs. But word on the street was that Spurs coach Greg Popovich didn't always go easy on Tony. He really pushed him to the limit.
Yeah, you know, it started back when Tony was invited to the Spurs summer camp before the 2001 draft. One of the scouts was really physical with Tony, really gave him a hard time, and that was really the start of his maturation process in learning to deal with the NBA.
We're just over 2.5 minutes into the second quarter. They really want to find that igniter here.
Yeah, that's right. Kevin, the offense has basically been running in place.
They got to get going. And he gets it back. And here we go. The Mavericks on a fast break. Matthews leading the charge.
Really not hard to see why they're giving up points on this run. I mean, they've just given them too many looks inside.
Yeah, and usually when a team goes on a run like this, it's because they are getting too many opportunities on the inside. Make them beat you from deep. And he's really having all sorts of problems with his jumper right now.
Yeah, big time. I mean, the words that come to mind, ice and cold and disappearing stroke, all would apply.
This is crazy. Every shot they're taking right now is finding the mark.
Literally every shot, partner. I mean, they just aren't missing.
And stolen by Nowitzki. Kicks to Pachulia. Out to the right wing. Barea dishes to Nowitzki. Here's Anderson. Nice D from Duncan.
Oh, excellent interior D to force the miss.
His defensive ability is a big factor. I mean, there's no denying that.
Now here's Parker. Quiet so far offensively, searching for his first points of the game. Feeds to Aldridge. The Mavericks pull it in. Pachulia's got 3 rebounds now in this one. Matthews into the lane. Duncan with the block. And they'll keep possession. Nowitzki kicks to Matthews. And it's Matthews again missing. Spurs trail by 11. Matthews with the steal. Fast break, Dallas. Matthews leading the charge. And he takes that one up and powers it through.
Well, there you go. One team operating on all cylinders at either end, steals, fast break buckets, and the other team scrambling to find its game.
Great point. I mean, that aggression has allowed them to just create a lot of havoc, and boy, are they taking advantage. Oh, I love that dish down low.
Just 1 second between the shot clock and game clock. And here's Barea. Right now he's averaging 11 points a game. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Nowitzki outside from the arc. No good. And so that's the end of the first half.